Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're diving into the life and works of one of the most fascinating figures in 20th century literature, Franz Kafka. His writing is filled with existential themes, and his life was just as complex and intriguing as his stories. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into literature and philosophy. Let's get started. Franz Kafka is one of the most iconic figures in 20th century literature. Yet, he received little public recognition during his lifetime. His works delve into existential themes like alienation, anxiety, disorientation, and the absurd. Trying to pin Kafka down to a single interpretation is nearly impossible. People have analyzed his work through the lenses of psychoanalysis, existentialism, Judaism, Marxism, and more. But Kafka resists being reduced to any one perspective. The beauty of reading Kafka is that everyone walks away with their own interpretation. There's no single correct way to understand his work. His writing is so unique that the term Kafkaesque was coined to describe the nightmarish, bizarre, and illogical atmospheres he creates. In his stories, we often see a strange dreamlike mix of confusion and embarrassment. For example, a simple task becomes impossibly complex, dragging on endlessly, or a massive, incomprehensible bureaucratic system looms over individuals, controlling their lives with absolute power. Kafka was born in 1883 into a middle-class Jewish family in Prague, the capital of the Kingdom of Bohemia, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and now the Czech Republic. Growing up, Kafka felt like an outsider. He was alienated both as a Jew in a time of rising anti-Semitism and as a German speaker in a predominantly Czech society. His father, a self-made businessman, was a strong, confident figure who couldn't relate to Kafka's literary ambitions. Kafka's father wanted him to follow in his footsteps as a businessman, which created tension between them. Kafka even wrote a long, emotionally charged letter to his father about their strained relationship, though he never sent it. In the letter, Kafka writes, "Dearest father, you asked me recently why I maintain that I'm afraid of you. As usual, I was unable to think of any answer, partly because I'm afraid of you, and partly because explaining the reasons for this fear would require more details than I could possibly keep in mind while talking. And if I now try to give you an answer in writing, it will still be incomplete." Despite their conflicts, Kafka admired his father's vitality and ability to navigate life, though he resented being pushed into a career that didn't suit him. Kafka earned a law degree and worked as a legal clerk before taking a job at an insurance company. He was good at his job and quickly rose through the ranks, but the long hours left him drained. He yearned for time to write and read, often staying up late into the night to pursue his true passion. Kafka once wrote, "My life consists, and always has consisted, of attempts at writing, mostly unsuccessful. But when I didn't write, I was flat on the floor, fit for the trash. My energies have always been pitifully weak." For Kafka, writing was a form of prayer. At 29, he experienced a creative breakthrough and wrote The Judgment in a single sitting. The story, in which a father sentences his son to death by drowning, was dark. But Kafka described writing it as a cathartic experience, a kind of baptism, death, and rebirth. It was in this moment that he fully embraced his identity as a writer. Kafka's personal life was marked by failed romantic relationships, social anxiety, and low self-esteem. He struggled with migraines, insomnia, and other health issues, often following strict diets and exercise routines to cope. At times, he even contemplated suicide. In 1917, Kafka was diagnosed with tuberculosis, an incurable disease at the time. By 1924, his condition had worsened, and he could no longer eat due to laryngeal tuberculosis. He died of starvation at the age of 40. Kafka once wrote, "There is infinite hope, only not for us." During his lifetime, Kafka published only a few stories. One of his last works, A Hunger Artist, tells the story of a performer who fasts for weeks in a cage, drawing crowds who eventually grow suspicious and lose interest. In the end, The artist admits that he fasted not for art, but because he couldn't find food he liked. Most of Kafka's work remained unpublished during his life. He wrote furiously, often leaving works incomplete or in an open state. He never sought fame, once saying, "Many years ago I went over the wishes I wanted to realize in life. I found that the most important or delightful was the wish to attain a view of life, and to convince others of it in writing, in which life, while retaining its natural rise and fall, would simultaneously be recognized as nothing, a dream, a dim hovering, a beautiful wish perhaps, if I had wished it rightly." Kafka left his unfinished works to his friend Max Brod, instructing him to burn them. Brod, however, recognized Kafka's genius and chose to publish them instead. Thanks to Brod, Kafka's work gained widespread attention and cemented his place in literary history. Though Kafka's writing often seems dark and gloomy, Brod described him as a deeply humorous and entertaining person, especially among close friends. This blend of tragedy and subtle comedy is evident in many of his works. Kafka would often read his stories aloud to friends, sometimes laughing so hard he couldn't continue. Kafka's humor is deeply tied to his exploration of the human condition. As one critic put it, Kafka's comedy is always also tragedy, and this tragedy always also an immense and reverent joy. The central Kafka joke is that the horrific struggle to establish a human self results in a self whose humanity is inseparable from that struggle. That our endless and impossible journey toward home is in fact our home. Three of Kafka's most famous works are The Metamorphosis, The Trial, and The Castle. The Metamorphosis, published in 1915, The Metamorphosis begins with one of the most famous opening lines in literature. As Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. Gregor, a traveling salesman, wakes up to find he's turned into a giant insect, though he retains his human consciousness. The story explores his alienation and the absurdity of his situation. His family, initially dependent on him, gradually sees him as a burden. In the end, Gregor dies, and the family moves on, briefly mourning him before looking to the future. The Trial, published posthumously in 1925. The Trial follows Joseph K., a bank administrator who is arrested for an unspecified crime. He navigates a labyrinthine legal system that is impossible to understand or challenge. The novel is a chilling critique of bureaucracy and the dehumanizing nature of modern systems. The Castle, Kafka's last unfinished novel, The Castle, tells the story of K., a land surveyor summoned by a mysterious castle. Despite his efforts, he can never gain access to the castle or understand its bureaucratic powers. The novel explores themes of alienation, authority, and the search for meaning. Kafka's work, though often bleak, champions the individual against faceless systems. His writing encourages us to be truthful, genuine, and ethical. As Kafka once said, "If the book we are reading doesn't wake us up with a blow to the head, what are we reading it for?" We need books that affect us like a disaster, that grieve us deeply, like the death of someone we love more than ourselves. A book must be the axe for the frozen sea inside us. Once you read Kafka, you never really leave him. His work opens a door to understanding aspects of life that are often hard to put into words. And that's a wrap on our journey into the world of Franz Kafka. I hope his life and work left you as intrigued and thoughtful as it did for me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Also, let me know in the comments what you think about Kafka. Did his stories resonate with you? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.